It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're sitting at your kitchen table staring at your laptop screen. You just got denied for that apartment you wanted. Not because you can't afford the rent, not because you have bad references, because your credit score is 667 instead of 680. 13 points. The difference between a two-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood and another year in a place where your upstairs neighbor sounds like they're training elephants. You pay all your bills on time. You've never missed a payment. You do everything they tell you to do. And somehow, you're still not good enough for a number that decides whether you deserve basic things like housing and reasonable interest rates. Here's what makes this truly insane. You're being judged by a system that was literally designed to keep you paying more. My name is Noah, and today we're going to talk about something that affects every single financial decision you make for your entire adult life. But here's the thing. We're not going to talk about how to improve your credit score, because that's the wrong question. The question everyone asks is, how do I get my score higher? But the real question is, why is this system designed to punish me even when I do everything right? See, there's this massive difference between having good credit and understanding how credit scoring actually works. Good credit means you jump through all the hoops they tell you to jump through. Understanding the system means realizing the hoops are there to make someone else money. And that someone isn't you. Let me set some context here. The average American has a credit score of 716. Sounds decent, right? That's considered good credit. But here's what they don't tell you. The difference between a 716 and a 760 on a 30-year mortgage costs you approximately $52,000. Same house, same down payment. Different arbitrary number that a corporation calculated using a formula they won't fully disclose. $52,000. Let me repeat that. $52,000. That's a year of income for the median American worker. Gone. Not because you're irresponsible, because your score is in the good range instead of the very good range. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so I just need to get my score up to 760, right? Here's the problem with that. The credit scoring system isn't designed to reward financial responsibility. It's designed to identify the most profitable customers for lenders. And the most profitable customers aren't the people who never use credit. They're the people who use credit constantly, carry balances, but still manage to make payments. The system calls them revolvers. I call them exactly where banks want you. Let me show you how this works, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. First, you need credit history. Can't get a good score without it. But to build credit history, you need credit. So you get your first credit card. Probably when you're 18 or 19, right when you're least equipped to handle it. The average first credit card has a limit of $500 to $1,000 and an APR of 24.99%. Congratulations, you've unlocked access to the most expensive money you'll ever borrow. Okay, so you're smart. You pay it off every month, never carry a balance. That should help your score, right? Wrong. Well, not wrong, but not as right as you think. See, the credit utilization ratio is 30% of your score. If you pay off your balance before the statement closes, many cards report a $0 balance to the credit bureaus. Zero utilization. Sounds good? Nope. The algorithms interpret that as not using credit. You get dinged. Not a lot, but you get dinged. But wait, if you carry a balance to show utilization, you pay interest. The advice you'll see everywhere is to keep utilization under 30%. So, on that $1,000 limit, you should use $300 and pay it off. But here's what they don't tell you. If you use $300 and pay it off before the statement date, it reports as $0. If you wait for the statement to close, then pay it off, you avoid interest, but you have to time it perfectly. Miss it by one day, you're paying 24.99% APR on that $300. That's $6.25 for 1 month. Doesn't sound like much, right? That's the trap. Let's add the next thing. You need multiple types of credit. Credit cards alone won't get you to 800. You need installment loans, car loans, student loans, a mortgage. The system literally rewards you for being in debt to multiple institutions simultaneously. The term they use is credit mix, and it's 10% of your score. 10% of your financial trustworthiness score depends on how many different ways you owe money. Here's where it gets really fun. Payment history is 35% of your score. Miss one payment, even by one day, even if you've made 47 payments on time before that, your score drops an average of 90 to 110 points. 90 points for one mistake. One late payment can take you from 740 to 650. And here's the beautiful part. It stays on your report for 7 years. 7 years. Let's do some math here, because this is where it gets absolutely wild. Say you're 25 years old and you miss one credit card payment because you were traveling and forgot, just completely forgot. You pay it as soon as you see it 3 weeks late. Your score drops from 730 to 640. You're now in the fair credit range. You were planning to buy a car that year. At 730, you qualify for 5.5% APR on a $30,000 car loan over 60 months. Your monthly payment would be $572. Total interest paid over the life of the loan, $4,320. At 640, you're looking at 11.9% APR. Same car, same loan term. Monthly payment, $667. Total interest, $10,020. That one forgotten payment just cost you $5,700 in extra interest, and it'll affect every loan you take out for the next 7 years. Oh, but you can dispute it, right? Good luck. The credit bureaus, there are 3 of them by the way, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, they operate on a guilty until proven innocent system. They'll investigate your dispute by asking the creditor who reported the late payment if the late payment was accurate. The creditor says yes. Dispute denied. The whole process takes 30 days. Your score stays tanked. But let's say you do everything right. Let's say you never miss a payment. You keep your utilization at exactly 7%, which is the ideal ratio that no one tells you about until you've already spent years at 30%. You have a mix of credit types. You've had accounts open for years. You're at 780. Great score, right? You're golden. Then you decide to buy a house. You need to shop around for mortgage rates, which is smart. So you apply to 3 different lenders within 2 weeks. Each one pulls your credit. Hard inquiries. Each hard inquiry drops your score 5 to 10 points. 3 inquiries, that's 15 to 30 points gone. You're now at 750 to 765. Still good, but you just dropped a tier. The rate you qualified for at 780, you no longer qualify for. The lender tells you that 780 gets you 6.2%, but at 765, you're looking at 6.5%. On a $400,000 mortgage over 30 years, that 0.3% difference costs you $25,000 in additional interest. Because you shopped around. Because you did the financially responsible thing. And here's the thing they really don't want you to know. All 3 credit bureaus are private, for-profit corporations. Equifax had a data breach in 2017 that exposed the personal information of 147 million Americans, nearly half the country. Social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, credit card numbers, everything. The company paid $425 million in fines and settlements. Sounds like a lot, right? Their revenue that year was $3.4 billion. The breach was a rounding error. And you, the person whose data was stolen, you had no choice in whether your information was given to them in the first place. Every time you apply for anything that requires credit, your data goes to these companies. You don't opt in, it's just taken. and they sell it. Credit monitoring services, identity theft protection, pre-approved credit offers, all of it. They create the problem and then sell you the solution. Now, let me introduce you to someone. We'll call her Jessica. She's 29, works as a marketing manager in Austin, making $78,000 a year. That's about 25% above the national median household income. She's doing well. She should be comfortable. She rents a one-bedroom apartment for $1,650 a month, has $42,000 in student loans at 6.8% interest, monthly payment $485. Car payment on a used Honda Civic, $340 a month. Insurance, $160. Phone bill, $85. Internet, $70. Groceries, about $400 a month because she's trying to eat relatively healthy. Utilities, $110. Gas, $120. Gym membership, because her apartment complex doesn't have one, $45. She has 2 credit cards, pays them off every month. Total utilization about 12% to make sure it reports. Credit score, 705. Solid. Her take-home after taxes, health insurance, and 401k contributions is about $4,350 a month. Let's add up those expenses. $1,650 plus $485 plus $340 plus $160 plus $85 plus $70 plus $400 plus $110 plus $120 plus $45. That's $3,465. She has $885 left over every month. Sounds decent, right? She's got breathing room. Then her car needs new tires. All 4. $640. Okay, she can handle that. 2 months later, she gets sick, has to go to urgent care. $150 copay, plus $380 in medications that her insurance doesn't fully cover. Same month, her laptop dies. She needs it for work. $900 for a decent replacement. That's $1,430 in 1 month. She only has $885 in margin. She has about $3,000 in savings because she's been good about putting money away. She dips into it. Now she's at $1,500 in savings. 3 months later, her apartment's HVAC breaks. The landlord takes a week to fix it. It's July in Austin, 102 degrees. She has to get a hotel for 3 nights. $450. Her emergency fund is now at $1,050. She's making $78,000 a year, and she's one significant emergency away from having to put something on a credit card and carry a balance. And if she does that, her credit score starts to drop. And if her score drops, when her car lease is up in 18 months and she needs to finance a purchase, she's paying a higher rate. And the cycle continues. But here's what makes this truly insidious. Every single actor in this system profits when Jessica is in exactly this position. Slightly stressed, slightly overleveraged, still making payments, but just barely. The credit card companies want her to carry a balance. That's when they make real money. The average American who carries a balance pays $1,380 per year in interest. But they also want her to keep making payments, because if she defaults, they lose everything. So the ideal customer is someone who's on the edge but not falling off. Jessica, with her 705 score and her $1,050 emergency fund, is perfect. The credit bureaus want her to be constantly worried about her score because that's when she pays for credit monitoring. $19.99 a month. Doesn't seem like much, but that's $240 a year to watch a number that she can't fully control with publicly available information. The lenders want her score to be good, but not great, because that's when they can justify charging her more. If she had a 780, they'd have to give her better rates to stay competitive. At 705, they can add 2 percentage points and call it market rate for your credit profile. And the system itself, the entire credit scoring industry, wants you to believe that your score is a reflection of your financial responsibility. But it's not. It's a reflection of how profitable you are to creditors. The score doesn't measure if you can afford something. It measures if you'll pay it back while generating maximum interest revenue. Here's the historical context that makes this even worse. Credit scoring, as we know it, started in 1989 when FICO introduced the first widely used scoring model. Before that, lending decisions were made by actual humans who looked at your full financial picture: income, assets, employment history, personal references. Was it perfect? No. Was it biased? Absolutely. But here's what's changed. In 1989, the median home price was $120,000. The median household income was $28,906. Ratio? 4.2 to 1. Today, median home price is $417,000. Median household income is $74,580. Ratio? 5.6 to 1. Houses got 33% more expensive relative to income, and now you need a better credit score to buy one than your parents did. The barrier to entry went up while the cost went up. You're being judged more harshly for trying to buy something that's structurally more difficult to afford. We collectively decided that a 3-digit number calculated by a private corporation using a proprietary formula should determine access to housing, transportation, and in some cases, employment. Some employers check credit scores before hiring. You can be denied a job because you couldn't afford to pay all your bills after being unemployed. The system punishes you for the consequences of participating in the system. So what does this mean for you? If you're under 740, here's the harsh truth. You're going to pay more for everything that requires credit for the next several years. A car loan will cost you an extra $3,000 to $6,000 in interest. A mortgage will cost you $40,000 to $80,000 more over 30 years. Credit cards will charge you 20% to 25% APR instead of 15% to 18%. You're not being charged more because you're irresponsible. You're being charged more because your score landed in the range where lenders can extract maximum profit while maintaining acceptable risk. And here's what happens if you try to fix it fast. You pay off a bunch of debt, which seems smart. But if you pay off an installment loan early, you lose the credit mix benefit. If you close old credit cards to simplify, your average age of accounts drops and your available credit decreases, which increases your utilization ratio even if you don't spend more. The algorithm punishes you for reducing your debt. Think about that. You owe less money and your score goes down, but you'll do it anyway because this has become so normalized. We've normalized the idea that you need to maintain debt to prove you can handle debt. We've rebranded financially stressed but still making payments as building credit. We've turned the absence of financial margin into a virtue called leveraging your future income. And we've convinced an entire generation that a 705 credit score means you're doing fine, when it really means you're in the profit zone for every financial institution that touches your money. Let me give you permission to do something radical. Stop optimizing for credit score and start optimizing for cash. The score wants you in debt. Cash means you don't need to borrow. The score rewards you for using credit cards. Cash means you buy things when you can afford them, not when you can afford the monthly payment. The score says you need a car loan to build credit. Cash says you buy a $6,000 Honda Civic and drive it until it dies, then buy another one. Here's the reframe. Wealth isn't built by having a perfect credit score. Wealth is built by not needing one. Every point you chase is another month you're playing by rules designed to keep you paying interest. The banks don't want you to have an 820 score and no debt. They want you at 720 with $30,000 in utilizable credit that you're actively using. You're not failing because your score is 680. The system is designed to make 680 feel like failure, so you'll take on more debt to chase 760. And when you get to 760, they'll show you what 800 unlocks. And it never stops. Because the game is rigged. So here's what I want you to take away from this. The question isn't, how do I improve my credit score? The question is, how do I build enough financial stability that my credit score becomes irrelevant? Save cash. Buy things you can afford. Stop financing depreciating assets. And when you absolutely need to borrow, understand that you're entering a system designed to profit from your participation. Your credit score isn't a measure of your worth. It's a measure of your profitability to someone else. Sometimes the smartest move is recognizing the game is rigged and choosing not to play.